Good afternoon. This is Sari. It's May 31st, 2019, and there is breaking news in the Maleah Davis case. Uh, Community activist Quanell X met with Darian Vance, that is the boyfriend of Maleah Davis's mother, Brittany Bowen. And Darian Vance told Quanell X this morning, May 31st, 2019, that he accidentally killed Maleah. He told Quanell X that he drove Maleah in a black trash bag stored in the trunk of his Nissan Altima into Hope, Arkansas, dropped her off on the side of the road, and left her there. Now, 3 days ago, a road crew found a bag with blood on it and human remains inside and reported the findings to law enforcement, yet they only picked it up this afternoon. And they are currently awaiting forensic testing to confirm the identities of the remains. They have stated that the remains are human and that of a child. Quanell X has been rejecting Maleah mother's calls and texts as he dropped her, Brittany Bowen, as an informal client several days ago after he said that her story didn't add up and her grief wasn't genuine, as she only cried and showed emotion when the cameras were on. He said she was complicit in the crime and has been covering up for the continued abuse and torture perpetrated on her daughter, Maleah, by her boyfriend, Darian Vance. He's not an attorney. Quanell X is not an attorney, but rather a community activist. He's known to have the ability to extract confessions when law enforcement cannot. He, along with Tim Miller of Texas EquiSearch, have been actively working to bring Maleah home. At this time, Brittany Bowen is not in custody, despite the fact that many believe she is complicit. Her two sons, one 5 years old and one 1, are in either state custody or with family. The information has not been made public. She and her mother, Brenda, have not been speaking. So this has been going on, and they are no longer talking to the media either. So this is a quickly unfolding case. And the following is a timeline of events in this case. One interesting fact is that Darian Vance has family in St. Louis. His brother was also in Houston at the time, and he lives in St. Louis, and the road that they would take, that they do take to go from Houston to St. Louis, would go right through that area of Hope. And the body was found, or the bag with the remains is found in Fulton, which is adjacent to Hope, which could be easily confused with that little town. They're right next to each other. So but anyway, that is an interesting fact, and it's not known at this time whether or not his brother had any hand in any of this at all, or if Darian was coming to St. Louis. It's also been reported that he has a child custody case for another child here in St. Louis as well. So this will all apparently come out at some point. So the following is a timeline of the events of this case. On April 30th, Maleah Davis's mother, Brittany Bowens, said she left Houston and flew to Massachusetts for her father's funeral. She would later claim that she had broken off her engagement to Darian Vance just before she left town. Now, this is interesting because this morning, Darian told Quanell X that she broke off her engagement with him when he dropped her at the airport. She told him that she no longer wanted to marry him, accused him of being homosexual, and said that she knew that he had been with other guys, and handed him his ring back. He claims that from frustration, despair, and anger, and retribution towards Brittany, that's the reason that Maleah is dead now, because he lost his temper, and this was all out of aggression towards Brittany. He does claim it was an accident. Quanell X does not believe that, nor do most people. So in any case, Maleah's mother, Brittany, left to go to Massachusetts for her father's funeral. Now on May 3rd, that was April 30th, May 3rd, surveillance camera video captures Vance leaving his apartment holding a laundry basket that appears to have a black plastic bag inside. He also said to have had 2 bottles of bleach. Now, Apparently, he has admitted that that bag in the laundry basket was the remains of Maleah. Meantime, Bowens, who was waiting for events at the airport, reported to call another family member to pick her up because, of course, he never picked her up. Now, on the 4th, Brittany Bowens calls to report Vince and the kids missing. I find that extremely interesting. They don't show up on the 3rd. Her 1-year-old and Maleah and Darian Vince are supposed to pick her up May 3rd. They don't show up to pick her up. She gets back to the apartment because other family picked her up and dropped her off. They're not at the apartment, and she doesn't report them missing. That's strange. Did he already kill Maleah before she left on the 30th? And she already knew? That's interesting that you wouldn't call and report them missing. And I don't know where her 5-year-old was at that time. So anyways, so May 4th, Brittany Bowens calls police to report Vince and the kids missing. Vince shows up to Houston Methodist Sugarland Hospital with his 1-year-old son at night seeking treatment for a head injury. And of course, Maleah was not with him. Vince speaks to the police. He claims to have been attacked the night before on his way to pick up Maleah's mother from George Bush Intercontinental Airport. He tells police that Maleah and his infant son were in the car with them when he pulled over to check his tire around Green Road and Highway 59. Vince then claims that 3 Hispanic men pulled up in a blue 2010 Chevy pickup truck and beat him up until he passed out. He says the next day, May 4th, he regained consciousness near First Colony Mall. Maleah and his car were nowhere to be found, but his son was still with him. Now, on May 5th, an Amber Alert is issued for Maleah. May 6th, Texas EquiSearch begins looking for Maleah. They search the area in northwest Houston where Vince said they were abducted. May 7th, Texas EquiSearch moves the search efforts to southwest Houston, setting up a command post near the apartment where Maleah lived. Now, the mother, Brittany Bowen, just moved out last week from that apartment. A Houston police detective tells the news media that Darian Vince is a person of interest in the disappearance of Maleah, and heavy rain falls across the Houston area on May 7th. May 8th, the rain from the day before leaves the search area flooded. Texas EquiSearch suspends ground search until the flooding recedes. They search by air instead. Police released more photos of the silver Nissan Altima that Vince said he was driving when the alleged abduction occurred. Now, May 9th, the silver Nissan Altima is located in a parking lot of a Missouri City shopping center. Police say all of the car's tires appear to be fine. May 10th, Quanell X and Maleah's mother hold a press conference and accuse Darian Vince of abuse. May 11th, Vince is arrested and charged with tampering with evidence, a human corpse, and his bail is set at $999 million. And prosecutors say dogs pick up a scent of a human cadaver in the trunk of that same Nissan. They say a laundry basket and a gas can are also found in the trunk. Authorities say they do not believe Maleah is alive. May 12th, a community rally is held on Mother's Day. More than 100 people unite in solidarity at the parking lot across from Maleah's home to preach their sympathy and the pain as they feel as mothers. May 13th, Vince is set to appear in court, but the hearing is rescheduled. Maleah and Quanell X, it's not actually Maleah, Maleah's mother and Quanell X leave court and wait for an elevator as crowds chant justice for Maleah. That afternoon, a judge lowers Vince's bond to $45,000. May 14th, Texas EquiSearch expands the search for Maleah. They focus their efforts around Vince's former U.S. Postal Service mail route in Rasharon. Maleah's biological father, Craig Davis, posts an emotional tribute to Maleah on Instagram. May 15th, a vigil and a balloon release were held at Oyster Creek Park in Sugar Land in honor of Maleah. And Texas EquiSearch suspends their search efforts until they receive more information. May 16th, a reward of up to $5,000 is offered for information on Maleah's disappearance. May 21st. As the search for her daughter continues, Maleah's mom was back on social media and getting a lot of backlash for her posts about Darian Vance, the suspect in her daughter's disappearance. May 22nd, Maleah's family members attend a closed-door custody hearing. May 23rd, Houston Police Department give a press conference to update the public on the progress in the case. According to Houston Police Department, those close to the case have not been cooperating. Maleah Davis's grandmother asks Chief Art to announce that Ronnie and Karen Bias of Lake Charles, Louisiana, have pledged an additional $15,000 for a total of $20,000 for information leading to an arrest and prosecution. May 28th, Quanell X will no longer be representing Brittany Bowens. The activist tells news media that he was the one to walk away, but Bowen says otherwise. Well, we know now that Quanell X is telling the truth because he's not taking her calls or texts, and she has been continually calling and texting him since that date, since the 28th. May 30th, a motion filed by Darian Vance's attorney to withdraw as counsel is granted. So his attorney fires him, basically, or decides he doesn't want to no longer handle him. And the judge appoints a new attorney. May 30th, Crime Stoppers of Houston has increased the reward up to $12,500 in Maleah's case. And in addition, up to private contributions, this brings a total reward to $27,500 for information about Maleah's whereabouts. Now, it's very interesting that Quanell X has been questioned. Are you going to be trying to retrieve that reward? And he said not only does he not want it, he wouldn't take it. Crime Stoppers does not ever give that to community activists or anyone tied to the case like that. So that is not his motivation. His motivation is solely to bring justice for this little girl and to bring awareness to this case and bring those responsible to justice. So now Quanell X says that Darian Vance did confess that Maleah Davis is dead. He says Vance told him that Maleah's death was an accident and that he did admit to dumping the body. Arkansas State Police, local law enforcement, and the FBI are searching for her remains in Arkansas. Texas EquiSearch and Houston Police will also go to Arkansas to search. The Hempstead County Sheriff says a litter and mowing crew that was mowing the interstate and the exits found the black garbage bag emitting a foul odor. And that is the trash bag that was found 3 days ago that they called law enforcement about, and it just sat there for 3 days until today when Quanell X contacted Texas EquiSearch and Tim Miller, and they contacted Arkansas law enforcement. So in any case, they have established that that is a little girl or a child, and they're waiting now for those remains to be identified. I'm not certain if the clothing and the ribbon that she had in her hair that day, if those are in the bag. I don't know. But in any case, this is a absolutely tragic case. It has touched many people. And please, women, be very, very careful. Do not bring men into your homes and around your children that you do not really know anything about. We don't know enough about even their biological fathers sometimes. Do not do that. Please protect your children. And if you are anybody that suspects anyone of abusing a child or beating a child, or you hear something through your apartment walls or a neighbor or a friend or whoever it is, don't worry about what they think of you or they say to you. These children do not have a voice, and they depend on other people. This little girl's own mother failed her. The police failed her. The courts failed her. The hospital failed her. Everyone failed her. And you don't know what somebody's going to do. These children's own fathers molest, beat, and kill them, let alone some man that's not even related to them. Do not do it. You know, if they're not great to your kids, get away from them. And even if they are really nice to your kids, don't leave your kids alone with them in a room, ever. Not even for 5 minutes. It's not worth the risk. It just isn't. So, you know, please take heed to this. This little girl did not have to die, and this is absolutely tragic. She was a beautiful child that died for nothing, her whole life ripped away from her. And I pray that these people are held accountable. Absolutely. And this woman, Brittany Bowen, if she was complicit, and apparently there is proof enough that this child had a cracked skull at the hands of Darian Vance, and she was more interested in holding on to this man than the safety and security of her own child, this woman should never have custody of her other two children. Those boys should never be in her custody. If they can't find enough to hold her or arrest her or convict her, regardless of that fact, she could not protect her child. Therefore, she should not have custody of these other two children. If she goes on to have more children, the state needs to be involved in the well-being and the care of those and maybe take them away. That's just my own personal opinion. If you can't keep your children alive at the hands of some sadistic monster. So God bless you guys, and let's look out for these children out here. They need someone. They need advocates. And I'll update you on any other things going on in this case. So take care. Bye-bye.